Hey everyone, so this is Elementary Season 5, Episode 6 called Ill Tidings. So the episode starts off with everyone seeing a restaurant and all the chefs, um, trying to prepare the meals and get them out on time. And it's very reminiscent of MasterChef, like with what's his face, Chef Gordon or whatever the fuck his name is. I mean, I've never really watched it, but I've seen the commercials that were always pushed on TV, and it seems very reminiscent of that. And so basically, the chef in this case is called Chef Joe, and next thing you know, he starts bleeding from the eyes and falls to the floor. Then it shoots to Marcus testifying on a robbery homicide where this guy robbed a bodega or a convenience store or whatever. So the defense attorney is like asking for the motive and why Leon would have done this, and Mark is like, well, I don't know, why don't you ask Leon? I mean, he's the one who decided to rob a convenience store and then shoot the guy, so why don't you ask him? I mean, you're acting like I'm the one who committed the crime, so that's basically what it amounts to. And then the defense attorney is asking about the witness that put Leon at the crime. And Marcus is like, yeah, I did get information from the witness, who is named Samuel Cruz, that Leon was there after the convenience store owner was shot by Leon, and right after the crime happened. And the defense attorney keeps asking that question over and over and over again. Basically, before it then shows Marcus after being after testifying and realizing afterwards that he may have perjured himself, which he tells us to the ADA. Charlotte and Fiona are then seen talking about her being in Philadelphia for work, and how everyone there seems to always love talking about Philly cheesesteaks and eating Philly cheesesteaks and all this stuff, and how she doesn't like either of those things, but she does love the river. Fiona then asks Sherlock to meet her exactly halfway between Philly and New York City at a bed and breakfast, and after getting a text from Gregson about a new crime scene, Sherlock says, okay, fine, I'll go with you. At the restaurant, Sherlock is told the victim's name is Joe Leshner, I think is how you pronounce the last name. And a person working there named Mateo Lima has low-grade symptoms of the snake poison that, or the poison that Joe was given. Gregson thinks the target was Joe, and Mateo was just collateral damage. And Sherlock figures that a dish that was being prepared was spiked with the snake venom that can only be deadly if put into the bloodstream. But Sherlock also finds fiberglass on the plate of food, which would cause abrasions on the tongue, and therefore that's the way the venom would get into the blood, was through the small cuts on your tongue, because if just swallowed, the venom according to Sherlock, would not work because of the stomach acids in your stomach. Then they go out to question Mateo, and he reveals that the dish that was poisoned was pre-made. Was pre-made. There were several plates of the dish pre-made for a lunch that several people were attending at the same. Were attending. So Sherlock's thinking that it's a mass murder. Later, we find there's really no way to identify the toxin right away. So it's going to take a while to identify that. The guy who made the reservation is Daniel Lukash or something like something. I'm sorry. Anyway, the first name is supposed to be Daniel, but there's no one in the country with that specific name, so it's most likely an alias. Gregson then gets a text about another victim by the name of Tate Orvis, who showed up in a hospital an hour prior but didn't make it. Sherlock found a guy with almost the same name as the guy who made the reservation, named Danilo, whose first name is Danilo. And someone at the restaurant misspelled his name. So we find out Danilo is a Serbian national, and he designs onboard computers for the car company in Belgrade. Marcus then meets Sherlock at the hotel room where Danilo was staying, but he's not there at the moment. Marcus asks Sherlock about the witness who saw Leon Walker rob the convenience store. Sherlock says it was obvious Samuel Cruz saw Leon, but Samuel didn't exactly state that he saw Leon. And Sherlock says that he doesn't think Cruz actually saw, not only, wait, hold on. Okay, I was trying to read that, for some reason. Anyway, so Sherlock's thinking that, Cruz not actually saying he saw Leon won't be an issue, because there's all this evidence against Leon. There's DNA of Leon at the convenience store, the ballistics of his gun matches the round that killed the convenience store owner, and the money that Leon took was at his apartment. But if the court really wants them to prove that Cruz saw Leon, then that's what they'll do. Sherlock notices that all the bottles of wine in the hotel room are made by the same conglomerate except one, and turns out it's not a bottle of wine. It's just, well, it is a bottle of wine. I mean, it's just a lookalike of a bottle of wine. It holds several cards in it. Gregson and Joan then question Mrs. Shea, who works in HR at Tate's company, but she says she doesn't know anything because she's just HR, and she only works in HR, and he's the actual CEO. And Joan reveals that they know that she was more than just someone in HR to Tate, because she took a photo off of the balcony at Tate's summer home in Vermont, that they were so basically that pretty much tells them that they were having an affair. A week before, they had a fight because she found out he was supposedly two-timing her with an Italian woman after picking up the phone and hearing them say how they're excited they were to see each other. She found some of the cards Sherlock found in Tate's wallet and thought they were cards to open doors to that hotel so he could meet the other woman. But Tate wouldn't say anything. She says that she was home with her husband, and if they tell him about the affair, it'll basically ruin her life. But Gregson says that they'll have to ask her husband anyway and reveal the whole thing. Sherlock then shows tells Joan later that he found the same cards on Danilo, and that both the cards that both carried had IAO stamped on them. That stands for Internet Address Organization, which is an internet, and there's an internet rumor that's stating that 7 people, including Tate and Danilo, are the leaders of this organization, which but Joan's disappointed because the 7 people seemed so mundane, and telling them seemed to achieve nothing, basically. But Sherlock thinks otherwise because the AIO controls the core security for the entire internet. Marcus, Gregson, and Joan then question Mr. Dalal, who I want to point out was Mohinder in the TV series Heroes, and I kind of fangirled for a second there because I loved Mohinder in the whole series. Just saying. I just wanted to point that out. Anyway, so Dalal reveals that Danilo had died on a subway platform. I don't think we knew that before. And the other four leaders died in their hotel rooms. And the reason why he didn't eat any of the dish that all the others ate was because he's vegetarian. He provides that he was at the hotel room all night, and hotel footage would prove it. He also provides that there are many fail-safes in place in case something like this would happen, and that there are backup algorithms in place to make sure that the internet stays safe, basically. Marcus has Joan then go by herself to verify that the alibi checks out, while he and Sherlock go to the ADA and tell her that Cruz actually did see Leon, and everything. Turns out Cruz was being pressured by the defense to say he saw a woman fleeing the scene of the crime, and after telling telling the ADA that he got a signed affidavit of Cruz saying that he saw Leon running away from the crime scene. They're leaving, and Sherlock's like, Sherlock realizes that Marcus has a thing or a crush on the ADA and says that he should have worn a different colored shirt, because according to a study, purple isn't the color that attracts women to men. If a man were to wear that particular color. And one of my favorite lines in the episode was when Marcus said it was a business meeting, not a speed date. That was like the best line in the entire episode, and it was just like, anyway. Joan then calls and tells them that the law story checked out and found a motive for the attack. A group is claiming credit, but they disguise their voice while making the video. Sherlock and Joan then go to the U.S. Stock Exchange and meet with Mrs. Dunbar, because the people in the video made a threat that they were going to do some, like, hack the system or some shit like that. Sherlock thinks that the threat is a hoax, and the killer did this so that he would profit, meaning like buy certain stocks at certain times, so that when he made the threat, everyone except the techs would go home, and he could profit from the stock market basically being at a standstill and or crashing or going down a little bit. And as he and Joan are looking through the stock data, he reveals Marcus the crush on the ADA in the robbery case, and Joan's like, oh, tell me, like, he has a crush on her? Tell me more. But it was just like, girl, like, damn, it's like that's not the whole point of why he's bringing it up in the first place. I mean, anyway, so after sidestepping that for a second, he tells Joan of what Marcus said about um, about his about wanting about the his what Marcus expects in a relationship with her, and he feels he basically feels the same way as Marcus, where because being a detective is a huge part of his life, if not like the sole part of his life. He would like to share it with the person he's going to be in a romantic relationship with. And since Fiona doesn't seem to want to talk about work at all on her end, he feels like he can't share his job with her. So he's basically having doubts about being with Fiona. He realizes, and as they're, kind of going through the data of the U.S. Stock Exchange, he throws a rolled piece of paper into a 19th century vase, and he realizes after doing that money is not the only thing of value in the building. So they go downstairs and look at this wall where there's usually these 3 paintings hanging up on it, but they aren't there. So the security guy says that they were taken down because of the threat to the internet security at the U.S. Stock Exchange, and so there were supposedly people who were going to run wires through it to figure things out and everything, make sure that there wasn't a breach or anything, and the paintings were put down somewhere else. Lo and behold, the paintings that were the spot where the paintings were moved to reveals that the paintings aren't there anymore. So the 3 paintings that were on the wall are worth $60 million, and the thieves created a threat so that the U.S. Stock Exchange would make everyone go home and check for said threat. And they were able to leave the building with the 3 paintings without cameras noticing, because the whole system was shut down, including the security cameras. And Jones says that Dunbar has given them access to all their employees, but Sherlock's like, well, that's going to take days, if not like weeks, to figure out, go through it all. But at that point, the paintings will have disappeared on the black market. So he suggests that they burn the haystack down by announcing the theft on TV, that they were recovered to smoke the thieves out. Sherlock thinks that by making it look like the real paintings were recovered on TV with fakes, the real thieves will rant about it online. Next thing you know, the next morning, Sherlock tells Joan of 3 people who apparently buy stolen items. Their handles are Silent Wolf, Hungry Box, and Dr. Bumrush or something like that. Screen names are owned by one person named Brian Beale, and he works at the U.S. Stock Exchange, and he worked on the audit the day before. And at Beale's house, it's revealed that the landlord hasn't seen Beale for a couple days. Turns out the reason for that was because he's dead in his bed. And I did not mean to rhyme there. Joan has found him in bed, and he's been dead for about 30 minutes, is what Joan's guess is. Sherlock then finds a snake that bit him, and it's behind Joan's foot. I figured that the snake wasn't gonna bite her. Like, come on. I mean, they really weren't gonna put her life in jeopardy. I really didn't think that was gonna happen. So anyway, Sherlock thinks Beale had a partner, and that the snake and its food and medication were planted. And Sherlock thinks that the timing of Beale's death is highly suspicious, because it doesn't make sense why he would be able to milk the venom out of the snake successfully for months, but then die from the snake biting him not long after selling the paintings. So Sherlock has seen this, and Sherlock has seen the snake bite on someone else, and it was Mateo from the chef from the beginning of the episode. They go to his place with a search warrant and tell him that they know that he was exposing himself with the poison for months to build up an immunity to it. And Sherlock finds one of the paintings and one of several snake tanks that Mateo has. So that's basically the whole episode. I kind of was hoping that you see a little bit more of Shinwell, but I mean they've been doing this whole show Shinwell, not show him again. It's kind of like, I don't know. I guess you can't really show him since show him every single episode because he's only a recurring character. But I mean, I'm not gonna be a stickler too much about that. Because my hope is that Shinwell does become a main character. Hopefully by the time they come back from the winter break. I did have an issue with the fact that we hadn't seen Fiona in like pretty much since last season. We hadn't really seen her at all this season, I'm pretty sure, and so I was wondering why they just dropped her like a hot potato for the first 6 episodes. I mean, you think that if you think that since they're like Sherlock and her are together romantically, that they would have said something about her, like even in passing. Since the season began, they hadn't. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Where are they going with this? Because you literally had not heard a thing about her since last season. I don't even know. I remember when the last time we saw, like, she had been mentioned last season. So I didn't think that I didn't know exactly where they were going with this. It's looking like Sherlock is going to break up with Fiona. I wasn't expecting that because I thought they were really kind of cute together, because they were cute in a very awkward sort of way, and I thought they were just kind of like really cute together. But I can understand Sherlock's reasoning as to why he wouldn't want to be with her, because I mean, as he pointed out, being a detective makes up a good majority of his life. And that, I mean, he would like to talk about it, talk about his day or his cases once in a while. And if Fiona's refusing to talk about her work, I could see why he wouldn't want to talk about his work with her. So even though he wants to, so I can understand why he would want to break up with her. Even if it's kind of a little sad to see that, but I think I brought this up previously. I just don't want the writers to put him and Joan together. I don't want to see that, because I like the partnership and the friendship that they have. I really like that, and I'd sooner want Marcus and Joan to get together than Joan and Sherlock to get together. So, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'd sooner want that to happen than Sherlock and Joan getting together. So, I personally would like to see the writers not put Joan and Sherlock together. That's just me. I really don't see them see them romantically together, and I just really like their friendship and the playful banter that they have together. I mean, to me that doesn't really scream romanticism, or if that's the right word to use in this context or whatever, but I don't feel any romantic vibes between them. I just feel like just a genuine friendship between those two. So I'm pleading to the writers to not put Joan and Sherlock together. They've managed to do that for 4 seasons so far. Hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully that they won't feel the need to do that later this season. So, or by the time the series ends. So, just saying. Anyway, now, next week on Elementary, a guy who was skydiving not only had his parachute tampered with, but was shot. And it's looking like there's a plethora of suspects. So Sherlock and Joan don't have to worry about a shortage of suspects going on. They didn't necessarily pinpoint a specific suspect in the preview. So I can't really say if the person they're thinking is a suspect is actually the killer or not. But I wouldn't be surprised if all those suspects were just red herrings. So for the real killer. But who knows? That's all I have for this episode, and I'll see you guys next Monday on Elementary. Bye.